be up into the 600s. Now, the timing of the delinquency, the level of the delinquency, the last activity date all carry weight in how this negative thing may impact your score downward. This is very important even for the people who have good credit and nothing bad, because you may have a relative or a friend who's dealing with something and you could help them with this. So pay attention. This is big. This is the number one item to pay attention in here. Number one, the last activity date. Let me clean up the screen. All right, I'll redo it again. This right here is number one. The last activity date or when it happened. So what happens when you have something negative or even something positive for that matter, anything hit your report, there's a date associated with it, with whether or not they're reporting recently something that happened or how far away you were from that action. The first 12 months from the date of last activity that hits your report has the biggest impact pushing your score downward. So the closer you are to it, the worse it is. The next 12 months, it begins to diminish and your score will rise. Meaning after 12 months from the last activity of that negative thing happening, it carries less weight. Another 12 months, even less weight. After 36 months, even though it will still be on your credit report, okay, it may not have any impact on your score. That's right. So it may be on your report, but it's not having an impact on your score. So after 36 months, it may carry little or no weight. Now, some of you may have heard, well, I had this old collection, and I was buying a house, and the underwriter said I had to pay it. But when I did, my credit score went down. How is it possible that your credit score goes down when you pay off a bad debt? That's because the date of last activity may have been over 36 months. When you make a payment towards it, they update it. That it's paid, and all of a sudden your date of last activity was now, and having a paid collection now is worse than not having anything, right? Having a paid collection is bad. It still shows that it wants a collection. It's bad. So it causes your credit score to take a dive. So that's why when you're doing real estate transactions that happen, they pay the collection in escrow rather than pay the company so that your credit score doesn't plummet and throw your loan out of place. Important information to know. Now, credit score, unless removed, how long do delinquencies stay on your credit report? Well, bankruptcies, Chapter 7 and 11 are 10 years from the filing date. Chapter 13 is 7 years from the filing date, not discharge. And which is good because it may take you 5 years to get out of a 13. And 7 years from the date satisfied on tax liens, 7 years from the date paid late on your late payments, 7 years on charge-offs from the first late pay. This is key. So you may have something take a couple years to charge off, but it's all the way back from your first late pay. Information is knowledge when cleaning up credit or dealing with stuff. Judgment 7 years, inquiries 2 years, but they only hurt your score for 1. Inquiries are way overrated. They don't hurt your score that much. So, one of the things I do if someone comes to me and says, okay, remember, the credit class is a supplement to Debt Eliminator Plus. Even though I told you earlier that you don't have to want to get out of debt, I can just coach you on making your credit score go up and getting your life into order if you want. You can choose whatever component you have, but I built it for a supplement, right? Because you can't move money around, move all your credit card debt to 0% rather than 21% if you don't have good credit. If you don't have a 680 credit score or higher, it's hard for me to coach you through that. So I built this whole thing and all my credit coaching so that when I have someone under a 680 score, they're not excluded from being able to pay off their debt. They're not excluded at all. So instead of 7 years they pay off their mortgage, it might be 8 because we spend a half year increasing your score or whatever, or a half year cleaning up your credit. So your credit is just a snapshot of your past and a snapshot of your story and a snapshot in time. You are not sentenced to it. It can be changed. You have to get out of your story and say, I want to create something new. And I can help you create something new. We're going to leave behind the old, create something new. You have to know how to navigate between this stuff. And you have to have an education to have any kind of impact, or it's frustrating. All right, next is revolving